Welcome to the New York Parrot Literary Corner. I am Dustin Pickering, your anchor and host for the day. We have Azam Abidov. He is from Uzbekistan, and he is a poet, translator, short story writer, cultural advisor, and singer. And he was born in Normangan, City of Flowers, Uzbekistan. He is the author of Tunes of Asia, The Island of Anxiety, Dream of Lighthouse Dawns, A Miracle is on its way, Growth and Patience, and I Leave You in Complete Boredom. He writes in Uzbek and sometimes in English. His work has been translated into more than 20 languages and published worldwide. He was a creative writing fellow at the University of Iowa in the USA and a writer in residence at LCB in Berlin. Azam attended poetry festivals, creative writing workshops, and cultural events in over 20 countries. He is also a World Poetry Movement's coordinator of poetry events in Uzbekistan and one of the founders of Masanara Literary and Cultural Club at the Yugoslav and Obek. I'm not sure how to pronounce these words. Sorry. Um, Ulusa Musufums in Tashkent. In 2018, Azam launched the first writer and artist residency program in Uzbekistan for foreign authors and artists. Now, if there's anything aside from correcting my pronunciation you would like to add to your bio, please feel free to go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself outside of the scope of the bio so we can get an idea of who you are.
Yeah, thank you so much for the nice introduction.
Very welcome.
I'm really honored to be in this Parrot Literary Corner and talk about myself and Uzbekistan's literature and just everything. Thank you so much for inviting me to this corner.
So my first question is maybe you could tell us a little bit about the history of Uzbekistan poetry.
Thank you. Actually, Uzbekistan is only independent for almost 30 years now. Before that, we were part of the big Soviet Union for about 80 years. Before that, we had Khanates. We were called Turkestan. And then before that, we were part of a big empire of Amir Timur, which is also known as Tamerlane in the West. So it was a big empire. And actually, when we talk about Uzbekistan's history of Uzbek literature, we say that we started from the 10th century, from Kutadrobilik, which is the first, the book appeared in the old Turkic, Chagatai Uzbek language. But actually, in the long past, Uzbek literature was watered by Persian and Arabic literature, mixed a lot of poets wrote them in Arabic, either Arabic or Persian, Farsi. But in only 15th century, our father of Uzbek literature, very famous name in Uzbekistan and Central Asia in Turkic literary world, Ali Arnaoui is considered to be the father of Uzbek literature, and he started writing and proving that the Uzbek language is also a very beautiful language and can be, you can write poetry and very beautiful work of art, work of poetry, and do a lot of translations into Uzbek. So he proved that the Uzbek language can become a language for poetry, and he started writing a lot of poems, and he encouraged other poets to write in Uzbek language. So we start like basically the Uzbek literary tradition, like Uzbek, the works in Uzbek language basically started appearing into the world, starting from the 15th century, like in a very, very a beautiful way. So Ali Nawawi, as I mentioned, I'm the first to prove and to write his own writing in the Uzbek old language. We call it Turkish, not Turkish, but Turkic. We call it Turki in Uzbek. So we start like the history is long. After that, it has been many poets who wrote their poems in Uzbek, in Turkey. And until now, a lot of Uzbek writers, poets have appeared into the world. And we have really big names in Uzbek literature. Unfortunately, not very famous or known to the West because of the lack of translations into foreign languages. But still, we say that Uzbekistan has really rich history and big literary legacy, starting from the 10th century up until now. So a lot of poetry books, a lot of like old manuscripts we have in our museums. You can find them even in America, in Congress Library, in many big libraries throughout the world. And of course, many of them are in the contemporary Uzbekistan. You can find a lot of manuscripts and old books in Uzbekistan that relate to Uzbek literature and culture. Yeah, that's basically it. So,
would you like to give us a sample of the language so our viewers can have a little bit of a flavor of the of Uzbekistan?
yeah, for example, I can let me just read a very small piece of from the Ghazal by Ali Nawawi. استگنler bizni sahroyi baloda istangiz. İstegenler bizni sahroyi baloda istangiz. Vadi hicran ile dasht fanada istangiz. Vamuqu فرهاد و مجنون دکلرول وادی ارا بولسلر پیدا منیخم اول آدا istangiz. Something like that. So it is we call this one is ghazal. It's like genre in Eastern poetry. So a lot of poets in the long past wrote ghazal, and the books they created, they wrote, were written in the form of ghazal. So the rhyming system was very complicated. The tune, the rhythm, the philosophy in the poetry was very rich and deep.
So I understand that you've had some challenges, kind of stirring the literary tradition up a little bit, trying to get people interested and so forth. Would you like to discuss those challenges?
Yeah, sure, that would be great. I would like to maybe talk about not real world of poetry in Uzbekistan, but maybe about how we are doing with poetry. I mean, how we are technically dealing with poetry or literature in general. We can discuss this topic. Maybe it would be interesting for you and for the audience.
Or if you would like to go into that.
For example, I can tell, I can read by heart a lot of poems. I can tell you a lot of history of modern or contemporary or classical Uzbek literature and poetry. Um, However, my big concern in my homeland, Uzbekistan, is that we don't have enough contemporary or modern literary traditions, or we could not get enough from the world literature, like from world contemporary literature, to implement a lot of, like, say, for example, poetry or literary techniques, or for example, it's very, very sad to say for me that we don't have, for example, any literary agency in the country. We don't have any idea what is that about. We don't have any international poetry festival in the country. We didn't have until 2018. We didn't have any residency program for foreign writers in the country. We didn't, and we don't have still so many things that contemporary poets or writers throughout the world are dealing already, interacting with each other, exchanging, and I'm really was very, very interested in promoting these ideas to Uzbekistan, because I have traveled a lot throughout the world. I have attended many, many poetry festivals, congresses, and translation workshops, and I wanted to share the best practice of the world with my countrymen, with the people, especially creative minds in my country. But still, we are far, far, far from something that we can discuss in the country now. But still, we have some good doors open. We can do something here. We have, like, many opportunities, but unfortunately, not every time we can use the opportunities we are given in Uzbekistan. You know, for example, I really want you to come to Uzbekistan, something, share your best practice with Uzbekistan. But unfortunately, because of the lack of the knowledge of English language, for example, or the lack of basic techniques how to bring foreigners or foreign authors to Uzbekistan, we cannot still open widely to the world. We have actually the biggest organization in the country. We call it Uzbekistan's Writers Association, with at least 700 members, official members. This is actually pro-government. They call it is like public organization, but it is very pro-government and very, very dependent on the government funding and support, with like more than 700 members. But unfortunately, the interaction, the exchange, the engagement they are doing with the world is not enough for Uzbekistan, with more than 35 million of population. If I'm thinking like broadly about like being really proactive in this matter, I really want that Uzbek writers and poets and creative minds do more things to help themselves, first of all, to also share something good with their colleagues from other countries, because I deeply believe we are part of the big planet Earth. We are part of the global community, global creative community especially, and we have to open to the world. If we don't open ourselves, how can you help us? It's something like that. It should be like two-side interaction, and I really want this. But unfortunately, again, we don't have many people or generation which is thinking like me. I don't know, the elderly generation, older generation, creative generation. I mean, of people who write, who create something, are not very interested in this. I maybe should not say that, but they are not really very interested in dialogue. Um, but it is not good, of course, to my mind, that a lot
Actually, I
of
want to come
people,
in from in that area. From my findings, I realized that Uzbekistan is not really in connection with other parts of the globe, perhaps because of your governance system or so. I also observed that the youth are not allowed to go to the mosque until they reach 18 years. These are some of the rules that make some of them not to be really interested if they are not given the voice at their tender age, and they're expected to get involved in things later in their life. It becomes very difficult. Some of them might be scared. What do you have to say to this?
yeah, you're right. Maybe that kind of restriction of the past is still in the veins, in the bloods of the current generation. It is possible, of course. If you don't go outside and see something with your own eyes, if you don't feel something in yourself, in your heart, and in your soul, by going somewhere out. You cannot, of course, imagine what is happening somewhere outside. Of course, you can check internet, you can Google, you can be on Facebook, you can make friends virtually, but going somewhere, like sitting tete-a-tete, looking face-to-face, and doing something together is something very, very important. For that you of course have to know something, at least. Like, first of all, you have to learn foreign languages, for example. Not everybody can interact with you without the knowledge of English, for example. Go to Parrot Literary Corner, for example. You can hardly find an Uzbek poet or writer who can discuss something in other languages rather than Uzbek only. Of course, they have many poets who
Or Russian?
Russian language, because
Yes,
it
they
was a
speak more of
legacy of
Russian language,
yeah, Russian, because
so,
it's been a
and the
part of
Uzbek language.
Soviet Union. Yeah, Russian is still like very, very important language for Uzbekistan. However, over the past several years, the English language has become number one foreign language for Uzbekistan people to learn, to study. So even from the first grade school, children are already learning English as the basic main foreign language. But still Russian is very important because a lot of Russian people are here, a lot of Russian diaspora in Uzbekistan. So yeah, Russian is very important, of course. And Turkish also is very, very similar to Uzbek language. So the Turkish, which is spoken in contemporary Turkey. So a lot of people, especially Uzbek poets and writers, can speak or do something with Turkish people. So, but it is not enough, of course, because we are not only part of the Turkish world. We are part of the big global community, and I'm thinking broadly about it.
Does
Would you
Chinese
like for me to
or
come
Mandarin has
forward?
influence in your educational system? Since you have direct train to China, does it have any influence on your educational system, or is just the Russian educational system that has dominant influence on your system?
So far, it is maybe Russia, but China, you don't see in usually like normal, ordinary life in Uzbekistan, you don't really see the big influence of China unless it is related with something like household issues, goods, garments, clothes. I mean, it's not about education, but still we have some big Chinese cultural centers. We have some schools where people are, so school children are learning, students are learning Chinese, but that's not so big. I would say if you compare with English, still English is the biggest foreign language, but the Russian is like almost like it has become like state language in the long past. So many people in the big cities, especially in the capital city, A lot of people speak Russian. My generation, the generation of at least like until the beginning of 90s, they grew up in Russian literature. I mean, Russian education, Soviet education, the culture and the literature was very similar.
Would you like to read a couple of
So we
poems for
still,
us?
excuse
Would you
me?
like to read a couple of poems for us? Just
Sure, yeah.
a couple of your own poems?
Let me read the poem I wrote yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Very short poem. It's not for me at all to accuse, to curse, to scratch, or to kill a man, a woman, or whoever else. My only job herein is to please Almighty, not to make him laugh. If I easily reach the next world, I wouldn't blow the whistle on someone. Who in this world is free from the sins? Can a prophet stand without sweating and with his face bright in front of truth? Let me also read one little longer poem, and this one is called Nawoi's Lamentation. In this poem, I just tried to say my brief about why we are not with the world in terms of literary engagement. And Nawoyi is the biggest name in our country, in our part of the world, in Central Asia, in Turkic world. However, he is not well known in the West because of the lack of translation or because of the promotion of his work in other languages. So the poem is called Nawoi's Lamentation. It's all good. It's all good that you still remember me. I'm so grateful. I feel humbled. However, my world has crumbled without translators, honest initiators, literary agents, project coordinators, and with no desire to open up for exchange and cooperation, for learning foreign languages, for teamwork and interaction, with no single presidency or UNESCO City of Literature in the rich historic country with only big jealousy. Are you going to promote me worldwide? Almighty, please don't turn white. When will you build an international house of creativity in Tashkent, Namangan, and Hiva? Why don't you establish Nawoyi Institute in London, New York, and Lima? Will you continue to ask permission from the president for all of this and wait for more several years? Or will you listen to me and master how to work faster with no spiritual disaster? I'm sorry. I feel humbled. It looks like onto the truth I stumbled. It's all good that you still remember me. I'm so grateful, but my soul is painful because you are still dependent. Literature and art will be successful only when they are independent. I request you, please remember not me, but my wise words. Do not deceive yourselves. Do not deceive yourselves, the promoters of my works, my dedicated guards. In any case, thank you. So this is like the mood of mine, actually, these last weeks, I can say, because I tried to do something for my nation, especially in the field that I know better. So I can say, enough experience of international engagement, working with foreigners, doing something, and I have created this small residency program, and I brought already almost 50 people from throughout the world, from the US, from Australia, from Europe, Japan, a lot of like Eastern countries,
Mhm.
um, just for Uzbeks to see and to learn something from them, and of course to exchange something good with them. Um, but because of the bureaucracy, because of the uh, not very good engagement, I just stop, or I just um, uh, doing like a little pause maybe. Maybe I can continue this program because a lot of people have a lot of like friends of mine, friends of my friends from many countries throughout the world are very interested to come to Uzbekistan to learn something, to learn our culture, history, literature, everything, to exchange something with our creative minds here. They are very keen to come here. But when I reach out to the relevant people, and when I reach out to the responsible organizations, agencies, and associations, and of course to the president, because unfortunately, still Uzbekistan is still dependent on one person to say, okay, do this International Writers Festival or do this International Poetry Festival. So it is very unfortunate. I don't think that this is the case in many countries, especially in the West. In America, you don't rely on the president to say this, because this is the reality. This is the fact. Maybe one day we'll come to better solutions. We'll come to better opening. I hope, but until then, I will just stop doing something to promote. Of course, I will be writing my own stuff. I'll be maybe translating a lot, but I cannot invite my friends and the friends of my friends to Uzbekistan to do something because of this
Right.
bureaucracy. Because I don't really want to do something for those who actually have to do it but are not doing. And I already showed at least 5 times bringing smaller and bigger groups on my own independently, and I show them how to do this, how to work with them, how to engage with them. I not only invited my friends and the friends of my friends, poets and writers and artists and cultural workers, museum workers to Uzbekistan, not only to see how beautiful the country is, how culture and literature beautiful is, but I also gave the opportunity for their colleagues in Uzbekistan, for students, for school children, for library users, for readers to interact with them, you know, and at least like thousands and thousands Uzbeks were part of my program in the past. Um, but yeah, again, I don't really just want to continue this because of that bureaucracy. Maybe someday I will continue because a lot of friends of mine are requesting, why don't you like, don't give up, try to get more strength. Maybe you will come to this again. Maybe because of the pandemic, also, of course, it's becoming a little hindrance. Pandemic, of course, because, for example, if you want to come, but there is no flight, for example. But I wanted to do something late in October this year because the residency program I organized was such a popular program. We started with 3 people, and the latest in October 2019, we brought 25 people. And this year, I wanted to bring at least 30 people, from anywhere, from everywhere, from throughout the world. But who knows? Maybe I will come again to this, and we'll think about this because I still think and I believe uh, uh, a poet, a writer, a creative person should not only think about himself or herself. We also should think about our environment and try to share something And I really believe sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience with others, getting something from others, and communication and dialogue and becoming a bridge have all become very important, very important. We can talk face to face, we can talk virtually, but meeting, going, eating, sitting, and like enjoying together is something else. This is very important, I really believe.
We have about 4 minutes left in the program. So, do you have any real quick final words you wish to convey to the world, and especially to poets and writers and artists?
Yeah. I just want my poet friends, writer friends, artist friends from throughout the world to uh, think about also uh, about our part of the world, because when I speak to my friends who didn't come to Uzbekistan, who just heard from their friends, but they really don't know what is Uzbekistan, what is real Uzbekistan is. People might have heard of this country, but not everybody is this. So I really want not only about Uzbekistan, I really want my friends to Google something and learn something from Central Asia. Because when I say Uzbekistan, I talk about literary or creative issues in my country, it also, these issues also have in my neighboring countries, like in Kazakhstan, in Tajikistan, so Stan countries, we share a lot of issues. So I really want the world come to help to our part of the world, to help with interaction, with best practices, and also learn something from us, and also engage with us, and let us know that we are also part of this planet Earth in terms of creativity, in terms of poetry, in terms of cultural and literary relationships.
This has been the New York Parrot Literary Corner. Subscribe to our channel if you enjoy our content. Today we had Azam Obado. How to say your name? I'm sorry. But
Abidov.
No
anyway,
problem.
Obadov. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yes, this is the New York Parrot Literary Corner. Subscribe to the channel, and please tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone all across the world. We're seeking poets and writers and artists and musicians to discuss their craft here on the New York Parrot Literary Corner, and we will give you a platform. And again, I implore you, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your time, and please spread the word.